13th, 2019, presided by the Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk. Will be led in invocation by Pastor Jacob Garcia of the Crossroads Christian Church, 2312 Essington Road. After that, remain standing as he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Please bow with me as we pray. God, we ask your blessing on us today. I pray that these leaders and community members, I pray for them as they gather to make decisions for the great city of Joliet. May they use their skills and judgment. May they do their best to be impartial and neutral as they consider each matter that's placed before them. We ask your blessing on all that are here and for the city of Joliet. We also ask your blessing on this meeting and for the mayor and for all of our city officials. Please give them wisdom to lead, a hunger for justice, and the ability to collaborate and cooperate with one another. I pray a blessing on the agenda set before us and for Joliet, that their leadership would bless those who live and work here. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilwoman Rudin.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is a presentation, the mid-year update, Will County Center for Economic Development. John Grueling, President and CEO.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, those present here today, I appreciate the opportunity to give our annual mid-year update. And I've got a lot of good news for Will County, good news for Joliet. First of all, just a couple of quick slides about us. You know us, we're a 501c3 not-for-profit business association in partnership with government. Been in existence since 1981. 80% of our funding comes from private companies doing business in Will County. Our primary mission is to help, first and foremost, existing Will County businesses, I don't know where that's going on, be successful. We also focus on recruiting new businesses, and all of you know Joliet's been very active in that space. And the measurement, of course, is new jobs, new investment, expansion of the tax base, improve the quality of life for everybody in the community. Something that we've been looking at this last few years, and we really came home to us during the last legislative session, was as we look at pieces of legislation, as we look at projects, as we look at plans and policies, what's the measuring stick we should be using as the Center for Economic Development? How do we give fair and even recommendations on projects? So we came up with these principles. It's the first time you'll be seeing those. First and foremost, we're defenders of the Will County and the Illinois economies. That's a primary purpose of successful Will County economic development. Make sure that the business environment is good for existing companies and new ones. Helping our existing businesses remain competitive. Make sure we have public policies, that we have programs and assistance that help the folks that have been making payday here for years before we start worrying about bringing in a lot of new people. Diversification of the economic base. Many years ago, we were pretty much a one-horse steel town, relying on heavy industry and manufacturing, and of course we all know what happened. Since then, there's been great diversification of the economy in Joliet and throughout Will County, and we've benefited from it. Inclusive economic development. Everybody needs to win. If we're going to be successful as a community, everybody, no matter what your economic strata, your race, your belief system, you have to be a beneficiary of what we do. And infrastructure modernization, as we know, is key. Nobody wants to see warning signs on the Des Plaines River bridges anymore. And workforce attraction and development, probably our largest challenge in meeting the needs of business in the future. All of you know what we do. Information is our primary tool. Real estate, economic data, and research. We provide complete information on incentives, as well as providing guidance for companies that are looking to meet with mayors, to meet with city council people, to meet with zoning administrators and planners, help us understand what Joliet wants, help us understand what kind of a corporate neighbor we can be in the city of Joliet. And then when it's important for us, representing who we do, our constituents, to make a statement in Springfield and Washington, we're there. We try to influence public policy and financial decisions that will benefit our residents. Activities this year have been strong through the end of August. We had 60 unique projects. Last year, our total for the end of the year was about 95. Our closure rate on these is about 30%, which is high in the industry. And I think it's because of the quality of the projects that we deal with. We also have hosted our regular events, our eye-opener breakfast, something that's become very popular in the last few years. We do a boot camp, an economic development 101 for local and elected officials to help communities leaders understand not only why economic development, but what's the role of the community in successful economic development. And we get great participation in that. Illinois gets kicked around a lot for people leaving, companies leaving. We're still miles ahead as far as the Midwest economy is concerned. We have such natural attributes and human attributes and man-made attributes that Illinois, in spite of our many problems, many of them fiscal, will remain very competitive in economic development, certainly throughout the Midwest. Economic conditions in Will County remain strong. Population 692, up 2% from 2010. This is something that we need to be concerned about. Between 1990 and 2010, our population increase was over 80%. In the last 8 years, it's been 2%. So we are creating jobs. There's a lot of new investment, but the population growth has stalled, and there's a lot of reasons for that, not necessarily that Will County and Joliet are bad places to live, but there's other forces in play. Unemployment rate, we're at historic lows. This can be a challenge for companies looking for employees. Median household income, very strong relative to the state. As a county, we've averaged over 8,000 net new jobs a year for the past 6 years. Only one county in Illinois has done better than that. And I'm not sure if their counting is accurate. That would be Cook County. Sorry, I didn't mean that. But we do have an outstanding job number count. And our housing permits at 1,500 was still growing, but fast backward to 10 years ago, we had 8,000 single-family homes 10 years ago. So again, the lack of residential growth is reflected in our construction. Job creation, 123,000 private sector jobs in 2001. Today, 215,000, 37% growth rate in jobs since the recession. We had a dip, but we picked up where we left off quickly after the recession evened out. Here's a chart that explains one of the challenges. Again, you see in the darker color, the blue, the jobs in 2001 at 123,000, going up to 215. The red line in 2001, our population countywide was 531. It peaked at about, today at 692. You can see that we're creating many more jobs than we are having people move into the county and grow in the county. Joliet itself has done very well in terms of job growth, a 68% job increase since 2001. That's an annual rate of 3%, surpasses any other county in percentage-wise in the state. If you look at Illinois, it's a simple 0.1% and 0.8% for the entire United States. So Will County, Joliet, we're a center of commerce, we're a center of job growth. Unemployment, again, at an all-time lows. This is pretty amazing considering some of the challenges that we have had, both the state of Illinois and some of the other loss of jobs, certainly in the manufacturing sector. Again, back to the housing tail of the tape. The tall columns on the left are from 1999 to 2006. Those are all single-family housing permits, and then you can see what's happened since then. We just have a very difficult time recovering from that. Residential sales, we've done very well since the end of the recession, but we're starting to tail off, and the reason is we're lacking inventory of housing, both new housing and existing housing. And a big part of that is the lack of multifamily housing. We're not building new multifamily housing, we're not converting older housing to multifamily housing. When you look at the young people, the millennials, when they're looking at a lifestyle, they're not looking at a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home on a quarter acre. They're looking for a nice small place that they can enjoy a lifestyle, go to the cafe, go to a restaurant, take the train to work, come home, and we're not offering enough of that type of housing. Case in point, if you look at the total share of multifamily housing in Illinois, 53% of the housing in Illinois is multifamily. Cook County is 82%. Lake 34, Kane 33, McHenry 32. We're at 16% of our housing stock in multifamily. Kendall is the only one lower than us, and they're the last suburban county to develop at any great rate. Our industrial continues to kick it. 51 million in 1996. We're up over 180 million today. Vacancy rate, we hear this, you got a 1 million square foot building empty, you're building too many new warehouses. If you look at the peak of right before the last recession, we had vacancy rates in industrial space approaching 16%, and yet we were absorbing 13 to 14 million square feet a year. We had some slowdown in construction, and with a couple of deals that have recently closed and will close in the next 6 months, our vacancy rate's going to be back under 10. It could be as low as 8% in industrial space. That's healthy for a market that has 185 million square feet. Business development since the first of the year, you've got a number of them here. It's a variety: transportation, printing, automotive, home goods, industrial supplies. It's been a very good year. One of our more recent announcements is the occupation or the leasing of the Opus, 1.2 million square feet, right at Route 6 and Hobolt Road. This is a catalyst for this whole area, especially as we anticipate the construction of the Hobolt Bridge. This is a perfect place for this type of industrial development, and direct access to the interstate, and totally closed off from other uses that are not compatible with industrial. On Route 53, the Hillwood project, NFI bought the entire building, 992,000 square feet, and if you're hanging around there in November and December, because Hasbro's their primary tenant, you might get this year's favorite Christmas present. So don't count on it. Joliet Cold Storage, this is a project we've been working on for the last 6 years. They're completing their 3rd phase. Here's an example of an incentive that was given early on, and then we've got 2 major expansions since then. This is a very strong category for us in food production and food storage. This is Cadence continuing their expansion on 53 with their truck and trailer service facility. It's a fantastic service for not only their industry but other commercial haulers. The inpatient treatment center, the largest single investment under Governor Rauner's term, $150 million, was spent right here in Joliet. 250-bed facility, 400 healthcare, very high-paying jobs. And we're very excited to see this added to our life sciences and healthcare industry sector. Transportation initiatives, we've got a lot of them. We've been identifying, working with our communities, the county, the state, the federal government, identifying key projects. And some are moving forward, some not so much. Something that Joliet is involved in right now is the Joliet Intermodal Transportation Plan. This is taking a look at a very specific area, the inland port. The northern boundary is I-80. The southern boundary is Hoff Road. The western boundary is 55. The eastern boundary is 52. And what we're looking at is the current movement of freight in this area, what the projected movement of freight in this area is, and what's the shortfall in terms of infrastructure. And can we handle the type of demand that's being put on this land for new development? And if not, what kinds of investments need to be made before any further development can be put forward? This is going to be an excellent guide, not just for Joliet, but for the communities around the port and certainly Will County and IDOT. Here's a map coverage. It's a very large area. Almost all of it is in industrial or agricultural right now. And for the most part, most of it's going to turn into some sort of industrial development. Rebuild Illinois was a windfall for us. Will County, at the end of the day, the total will be somewhere north of $1.2 billion coming out of the new capital bill, with the big win for us being the $850 million for the reconstruction of I-80. That's in addition to the almost $200 million that IDOT has already put aside for this project. So we've got very close to the $1 billion plus we're going to need to reconstruct I-80, and we're waiting to see the schedule from IDOT and how they're going to move that project forward. Same thing with the $6 million for the Lewis Airport Control Tower. This is a fantastic addition for corporate aircraft serving this entire part of the county, and Joliet will definitely benefit from this. The study, we're going to study Asian carp for the next 50 years before somebody decides to do something. The last thing we want to see is that lock closed. That's not the solution here. River commerce will continue to be very important for us, and we don't want to see the other Great Lakes states dictate to us what and what can't go through the Brandon locks. And then there's some planned safety improvements for 53. These are other projects that are on the drawing board, but currently there's no money. I-55 is in our sights for the next big projects that we're going to be focusing on, especially those bridges south of 80 over the Des Plaines River. The I-80 Coalition formed last year, played we think, a significant role in making sure I-80 was on the rebuild capital plan. This is a public-private governmental association. It's very similar to the group that we formed to get the 355 extension built. The focus with this group, of course, is I-80. That's the corridor that's being looked at. That's the planned bridges. You've all seen the plans. And one last thing is we're moving into a new strategic planning phase for us. We're looking at what can we do better, how can we serve our communities better, how can we serve our citizens better. We've got the jobs, we have to figure out how to get these jobs and serve the community, the people that are living in our communities. So we're looking at things like shaping the economic future of the county, again, infrastructure. We think Will County, Joliet, we're underselling ourselves as a place to live, work, and play. We have so much to offer right now, from entertainment, from outdoor recreation, from Nadewin, from theaters, from housing, from shopping, from downtowns that are being redeveloped. We're not telling our story. We're not telling the story of Will County. I'm tired of trying to explain to people in Cook County and Lake County that we're something other than just a farm field. And I think part of that responsibility is up to us, that we take that message out there. And that's going to be a big part of our plan moving forward. And the bottom line is, how do we all best work together to achieve the goals, to be successful in economic development? And I want to thank Joliet again for continuing to be a supporter of the CED. Appreciate your participation, Mayor, on our board, our executive committee, and anything that we can do to help with your economic development program, we're certainly available. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Any questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
John, I want to go back. We on the no, not on the list projects.
Yeah.
And I saw the Ileana. Well, how close are we to coming with that project? The
That
Ileana
project is, if I could be so blunt, which I usually am,
Yes.
they will not, the state of Illinois, and we started getting this indication from Governor Rauner's people when he put the project on ice. And we decided to step up the focus on 80. And it became very clear to us that certain people at very high levels in state government basically indicated, look, 80, if that's going to be the priority, let's focus on one major project at a time. We disagree with that. We think the Ileana is needed as much as reconstruction of 80. We're not giving up, Betty.
Thank you.
Yes.
John, do we have any data, it's the most common question people in the area will ask about wages, with this tremendous growth that we're experiencing. Are we tracking the wages at all?
We work with the Will County Workforce Investment Board, Department of Labor, CMAP. We have very good wage data. There's been a lot of upward pressure on wages. We're not seeing people working in distribution centers for $8, $9, $10, $11 an hour anymore. Companies that are trying to pay that can't find anybody to work. So we have raised the minimum wage in transportation, distribution, and logistics, into the $14, $15, $16 an hour range. Walmart recently took over their warehouse bed down in Elwood. Their starting wage is $17.50 an hour with benefits. That's better than some light assembly manufacturing jobs in this county. So we have a ways to go, but we know that the opportunity, we don't have an opportunity to talk about wages unless we're creating jobs. At least we have the opportunity to talk about wages because we need people to work here.
Well, while we do have a ways to go, we've made some progress.
Yes, we
over
have.
the last 8 years.
And I think we're going to continue to see that.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, John. Great work. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda under Mayor is a proclamation honoring Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, 2019.
Hi, Pauline Murphy, Lois Joliet chapter of DAR.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, I have a proclamation for Constitution Week, and it reads, "The Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. September 17th, 2018 marks the 231st anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. It is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the great city of Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2019 as Constitution Week in Joliet, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties. Signed September 17, 2019, Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk."
Thank you. I have a couple of words to say, Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor Odekirk and members of the board of the city of Joliet, thank you for allowing me to come before you tonight to receive your proclamation to promote Constitution Week from September 17th through the 23rd in your city of Joliet, Illinois. I'm Pauline Herpy, Constitution Week chairperson of the Lewis Joliet chapter. We have been in existence for over 110 years. The purpose and mission of the Daughters of the American Revolution is to perpetuate the memory and spirit of the men and women who achieved American independence in 1776. To that end, we promote the education of the Constitution in our schools, both private and public, libraries, and city halls. As Abraham Lincoln said at the end of the Civil War, quote, "Our safety and our liberty depends on preserving the Constitution of the United States as our fathers made it inviolate. The people of the United States are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow men who pervert the Constitution." As a token of our appreciation, please accept a poster drawn by a child who is studying the Constitution. And please accept this poster promoting Constitution Week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Poster.
A child drew this who was studying the Constitution.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
In eighth grade.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Frame hanging one for everything. Lovely.
Next is appointments. No appointments this evening. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following changes? Remove from consent agenda to be voted on separately, Council Memo 488-19, which is concurrence with Holston Management Corporation, and authorize Riverwalk Homes LLC to execute a contract for security services at Riverwalk Homes Apartments with Benford Protection Group for up to 2 years in an amount not to exceed $650,000 annually. Remove from the agenda Council Memo 507-19, an ordinance amending 2019 annual budget for the city of Joliet, the purchase of Slavic property. Remove Council Memo 512-19, a resolution approving an agreement for purchase and sale of real property, the Slavic property. And move Council Memo 516-19 under resolutions to be voted on separately. Due to a Scribner's error, it should read that it is a resolution authorizing award of a professional services agreement for historic resource survey for St. John's neighborhood. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the changes that I mentioned?
So moved.
Second. Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris? Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item? Any item other than the public hearings? Seeing none. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a motion to appoint Councilwoman Betty Gavin to serve as Mayor Pro Tem for the term September 30th through December 31st, 2019?
So moved. Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman
Thank
Hug?
you.
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Don't make me tell it.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council committee reports. First is the Economic Development Committee report.
The Economic Development Committee met, we actually did meet. Let me pull it up here. The Economic Development Committee met on September 10th at 5 p.m. here in the executive conference room. We did have a single item to consider, which is on tonight's agenda and was discussed briefly by the city manager last night. That was consideration of a resolution approving an amendment to development agreement with Mid-Central Enterprises, the Barber Building. All of the, originally, the plan was, I believe, it's a 35, Steve? 35 apartments?
Correct.
And they're all built out and rented. And then the original plan included the first floor being all retail/commercial, whatever they can bring in. Well, they haven't had any interest yet, not that they won't for retail and commercial, but they've got more interest in more apartments. So to make a long story short, what we did is we changed or tweaked the original agreement so they can put 4 more apartments in half of the downstairs, still keeping the other half for retail or commercial. And Steve, if I remember right, you said that the developer had said that there's some interest, there's been a couple of inquiries, so, the other half probably will go eventually. So we changed that so they can put the additional 4 apartments that will be virtually filled immediately. And they will be required to complete the build on the commercial side once they get a tenant, because every tenant has different demands how they want it built out. So that's essentially the long and the short of it. And it was unanimously voted on by myself and the other members, which is Councilman Morris and Councilman Dickinson, to send it to you folks, to the full council, with a recommendation from the committee to approve it. And that's all I have from the committee meeting, Mayor.
Thank you.
Finance Committee report.
Finance Committee comprised of Councilwoman Reardon, Councilman Mudron, and myself met this evening at 5:30 to and here in the room adjacent to the council chambers. Also attendance was Councilwoman Quillman and staff. We reviewed the monthly financial report, and we are at about 60.2% of our revenues, or 66% into the fiscal year, about 61% of their expense level. So we're trending right about where we should be. We reviewed the July 2019 Riverwalk LLC financial statements, personnel summary, travel expense report, invoices paid report. Found them all to be in order, recommend their approval. There was one discussion item on the pre-development loan for Riverwalk Homes, and I'll turn that over to Jim Gadati for comments.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. About 3 weeks ago, Ken Mahalik and I met with Catherine from Riverwalk Homes, and they wanted to prepare to get a pre-development loan in the amount of $1.5 million. And they were talking about going out to the market, and since this is a specialized loan, you don't go to a regular bank, and they had 3 organizations that they were thinking of taking a bid on this loan. The loan interest rate, they estimate, would be about 7 to 9%. Well, currently, the city of Joliet has $87 million in our investment portfolio, and I floated the idea that the city would loan the Riverwalk Homes the $1.5 million at a rate of about 6%, and they would pay that back in 18 to 36 months. It would be paid back when they do the construction loan. So rather than go out to the market, I would suggest that we would put that as part of our investment portfolio. Currently, as of last Friday, we are earning a little less than 2%. So I floated this idea. They seem to favor it, and I presented it to the Finance Committee that it seems to be a win-win situation. We would earn about 400 percentage points higher than the market, and they would get a loan at a rate less than they could go out, and they could pay that back within 18 to 36 months. The committee recommended that I bring this to the council, the full council, at the October 1st meeting.
That's the report, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Land Use and Legislative Committee report.
Yes, the Land Use and Legislative Committee, we met Thursday, September the 12th, here at 4 p.m. here in the council chamber. Myself, Councilman Dickinson, and Councilwoman Quillman. On our agenda for that evening, we had a discussion of awarding, which is on the agenda tonight, a professional service agreement for a historic resource survey of the St. John neighborhood. And the committee discussed it briefly, and we decided to bring it to the full council with approval from committee. Jeff Sturr had discussed that with us. I should have mentioned that. Also, we discussed, which we discussed at a prior meeting, the planning assistant staffing and fee analysis. That was to bring a part-time position into full-time position, and the committee asked staff to look at some fees for services that the city provide, to see if that if the fee structure could warrant to convert that part-time position to a full-time position. And the staff did that and brought that back at our last meeting, and the fees would definitely do that, and that would help in customer service in our with Department of Stat, neighborhood service, planning division here at the city, which is greatly needed. I must have put right in my notes. Did we move on that?
Well, the increase in fees were to help pay for that position.
Right.
And yes, we did recommend it.
And we did recommend it. Okay, I must have stopped writing it. Sorry. So the fee structure would warrant to cover the position that would be full-time now, and again would definitely help in the customer service area for the city. And that kind of followed up with the building permit fees. That there was discussions there, and also the interim city manager job description was on our agenda as well. And just a little brief discussion, and legal is going to come back to us with that. So no action from the committee level was taken on an interim city manager job description at this time. And that's all I can remember. Don, Jan, any?
That's it.
Did I miss something? No, that's it.
Thank you.
Prison Committee report.
Yeah, the prison committee met on September 9th. In attendance were Councilwoman Gavin, Steve Jones, Chris Regis, Brett Mitchell, Greg Peerbolt, and myself. Councilman Reardon was out of town. We were given a PowerPoint presentation. The update on the prison break-in, we had approximately 2,000 people attend. And right now, we're showing a profit of $79,412 with all but maybe one or two small invoices out. Our haunted tours, right now we're at 307. That's brought in $9,200. And we're really stepping it up for September and October with it being so close to Halloween. The guard tours, they've raised $6,840. Photo tours, we've given 100 photo tours at $50 a tour. We're at $5,000. The red carpet corridor had an event out there, and that brought in $1,360. Chamber After Hours was out there, and we made $435 off the bar. The number of visitors so far for the year is 7,440, and we've made approximately $194,654 from the tours. As far as the signage goes, our interpretive signs are completed, and they will be going up outside the prison. The lighting in the work in the spa building are ready to go out for bid. Brett Mitchell he's got it all set to go, but there was a death in his family, so he's a little bit behind on that. We're all excited about a big event that we have coming up. It's called The Night Behind the Bars. It's October 25th and 26th. Tickets are $50 each, and we've already sold over 100. You can purchase your tickets at the museum's website, www.jolietmuseum.org/event/prison-tours-0.
Can you repeat that?
The event will have a full bar, Crystal Head vodka, music. There'll be plenty of photo opportunities, pumpkins, food, and more. Every 15 minutes, they'll They'll be giving out tours on the inside of the prison, and there'll be 30 actors throughout the prison telling chilling stories. And that's all I have.
Public Service Committee report.
Public Service met yesterday here at City Hall at 5:30 p.m. I'm sorry, 4:30 p.m. We did have it here in the council chambers, and I have to get a new computer here.
Password. Change your password.
I know.
Passcode, not password.
We're gonna go
That's
stadium.
what happened.
Passcode.
Let's just skip them, go to stadium committee.
Yep,
Yeah, go to stadium, let me,
okay. Stadium Committee report.
our computer guys.
Stadium Committee met today at 5 PM here in the Executive Conference Room. In attendance was Councilman Quillman, Councilman Turk, and myself. We had a presentation from John Wilson, season recap from the Slammers. He felt they had achieved a number of their goals this year, that the stadium was much cleaner than before. They had better customer service. They added a playground, a free playground out in the left field. They have new signage around. They have a new ticket system there. They had over 350 non-game day events there. They also will be having in another week their first wedding at the facility. In conjunction with them, the city, in their budget, spent a little over $300,000. Some of that money was completely, was shared work where we would purchase the seats and the Slammer employees put them in, as well as painting. The lighting was increased. The fence for foul balls was taken further down both sides for safety purposes, and the Slammers are working on a number of changes and improvements for next year that they're dealing with Mike Ulitz on. And unless Jan or Mike want to add something, that's my report.
I just want to point out that John Wilson said that before all these accidents were being happened with people getting hit with balls, they were ahead of the game and already had extended their nets and before all that happened. So he wanted to make sure that we all knew they were ahead of the game on that. So safety first at DuPage Stadium Medical Field.
All right, let's take two. The Public Service Committee met yesterday, September 16th, here in the council chambers at 4:30 in the afternoon. We had two items under contracts to deal with. One was a request for authorization to award a contract for the 2019 Lumex Streetlight Glow purchase order. In short, it's the final phase of converting city lighting, city-owned lighting to LEDs, and this is the contract for the globes that would be attached to the decorative lighting in certain portions of the city. And then there was a request for authorization to award a contract for the citywide newsletter, and we had been using a vendor for the last several years. Somebody put in a lower amount, and Meg McEverly is completely, they didn't have the lowest bid, but she's completely satisfied that they'll be able to do the work. So we'll continue to provide our newsletters as we've done for the last, I think, 5 years now, or 4 years. Other than that, we had a presentation, an asset replacement program presentation for vehicles, while noting that we've replaced over $8 million worth in the last 4 years. The presentation said that there's still $16 million more to go, so certainly some portion of that will be considered in this year's budget. We suggested after the presentation, directed it to Steve Jones, city manager, and said just make it part of the, not the whole $18 million, obviously. Let's be realistic, but do what you can. It took us 4 years to get $8 million in, and I can see us doing another 4 years for $8 million, and then another 4 years for the $8 million. That'd be a nice every 4-year turnover, wouldn't it? So at the meeting, it was myself, Councilwoman Gavin, and Councilman Morris. Did I miss anything? Also in attendance was, well, there was quite a few people in attendance. This whole thing was filled up, so I won't list everybody, it was just a cast of thousands. So that's my report.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the combined council meeting held on September 3rd, 2019 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 487-19, position vacancies. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill 2 maintenance foreman 2 positions in the roadways division, 1 fleet technician in fleet services, 1 fire captain position, 1 senior fire equipment mechanic, and any subsequent vacancies which may occur. Council Memo 489-19, regular payroll for June 21st, 2019 through July 4th, 2019, $4,136,257.40. Council Memo 490-19, regular payroll for July 5th through July 18th, 2019, $3,558,481.34. Council Memo 491-19, regular payroll for July 19th through August 1st, 2019, $3,473,560.40. And Council Memo 492-19, regular payroll for August 2nd through August 15th, 2019, $3,476,691.72. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 488-19, concurrence with Holston Management Corporation and authorize Riverwalk Homes LLC to execute a contract for security services at Riverwalk Homes Apartments with Benford Protection Group for up to 2 years in the amount not to exceed $650,000 annually. It's recommended council concurs with the decision of Holston Management and authorize Riverwalk LLC to execute a contract with Benford Protection Group. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
For liability reasons, I don't think this city should be involved in this process whatsoever of managing that property. So I can't vote aye or nay. I will abstain.
Motion carried. One abstained. Under public hearings, Council Memo 494-19, proposed approval of Amendment Number 3 to the City Center Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Plan and Project.
And Mayor and Council, before the public hearing is opened, I've invited Jeff Dickinson from the firm of SB Friedman to step up and give a brief presentation. You'll recognize Jeff's face. Jeff has been involved in the downtown TIF districts, the creation of the St. Joe TIF district, as well as Silver Cross. So with that, take it away, Jeff.
Thanks, Steve. Good evening, councilmen and women. Pleasure to be back before you. The City Center TIF is your, essentially your old downtown TIF. We worked with you 2017. There was an amendment that you passed to reduce the size of that district. This is the map showing that your old City Center TIF is in the orange. The bright red is sort of the residual City Center TIF, which is what is left. The table here describes the result, the fiscal result of that shrinkage. I mean, the short answer is by reducing the size of the TIF, about $2 million of tax base was released, growth in tax base from its beginnings, and all the taxing bodies were able to tax on that since the amendment. That occurred, the dimensional amendment, the geographic amendment occurred 2 years ago. This amendment tonight is pretty simple. The purpose of it is to extend the life of the district. TIFs last 23 years normally in Illinois. This would be an extension under state law. That's a 12-year extension that requires action by the General Assembly and the governor in order to enact that extension. But part of that process also is an act by you or city council to accept the extension or to adopt the extension. So my understanding from talking to Steve is that the process in Springfield is underway, and so we're holding the public hearing now to be ready on the assumption that in the fall the legislation passes and allows you to enact the extension. There's no real other material changes to the district. There's some minor language changes and other things, but the substantive changes would be an extension to the life. The public hearing occurs. We've had a joint review board meeting already with the taxing bodies, and then there's a waiting period. And from that point forward, again, assuming action by the legislature, you all could adopt the extension and extend the life of the TIF. That is necessary in order to essentially give more runway to the progress that's happening in downtown, but you just need more time. That's the short of it. And so it's an opportunity to create more revenue over time to drive the continuing redevelopment.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Does anyone like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show that the public hearing is now closed. There is no vote on this item this evening, just only the public hearing. Council Memo 495-19, ordinances associated with 23414 Vetter Road. This includes an ordinance approving the annexation of 23414 Vetter Road, an ordinance approving the classification to ITC Intermodal Terminal Industrial Park zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show the hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 495-19, ordinances associated with 23414 Vetter Road? This includes an ordinance approving the annexation of 23414 Vetter Road and an ordinance approving the classification to ITC Intermodal Terminal Industrial Park zoning.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next under public hearings is Council Memo 496-19, ordinances and a resolution associated with Cobalt Commercial Subdivision. This includes a resolution approving the annexation of 40 acres at the northeast corner of Route 59 and Theodore Street, an ordinance approving the annexation of 40 acres at the northeast corner of Route 59 and Theodore Street, an ordinance approving the classification of 40 acres at the northeast corner of Route 59 and Theodore Street to B3 General Business Zoning, and an ordinance approving the preliminary plat of Cobalt Commercial Subdivision. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order.
Would anyone like to speak on this item?
Seeing none, let the record show that the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 496-19, ordinances and a resolution associated with Cobalt Commercial Subdivision? This includes a resolution approving the annexation agreement of 40 acres at the northeast corner of Route 59 and Theodore Street, an ordinance approving the annexation of 40 acres at the northeast corner of Route 59 and Theodore Street, an ordinance approving the classification of 40 acres at the northeast corner of Route 59 and Theodore Street to B3 General Business Zoning, and an ordinance approving the preliminary plat of Cobalt Commercial Subdivision.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances, Council Memo 498-19, ordinances associated with Timber Point subdivision. This includes an ordinance approving the preliminary planned unit development of Timber Point subdivision and an ordinance approving the final planned unit development of Timber Point subdivision. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I had spoken to Kendall Jackson earlier, and if the Park District does not take, if they do take the money for the property, I just want to make sure that Mr. Maddox knows that he is responsible for the maintenance of that 3.5 acres. It says that in the council memo. It says the owner, but I just wanted it for the record. So are you good with that, Mr. Maddox? Can you come to the microphone so we can get on tape?
Yes, we take care of the properties that we own.
The 3.5 acres, if the park district decides to give you the money, you will maintain that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll vote aye. Thank you.
Motion carried. Council Memo 499-19, ordinances associated with Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet subdivision. This includes an ordinance approving the preliminary plat of Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet subdivision Phase 22, an ordinance approving the final plat of Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet subdivision Phase 22, and an ordinance approving the recording plat of Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet subdivision Phase 22. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
Question there.
Yes.
Can we get a clarification? I think their attorney, Mr. Hanson, is here. Unless I'm,
Clarification on what?
on the parking. What I want to make this council aware of, and I kind of have already discussed it briefly before the meeting when I had a chance to run into Mr. Hanson. Mr. Hanson, can you describe the parking needs on?
Yeah, this is parking, Councilman and Mayor, just for Centerpoint, okay? It's essentially really for containers. It's the far southernmost location in the entire city. It's right next to Village of Elwood, where they're also going to be doing some container parking. So it's not for general truck parking for the public, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. And the reason I bring it up, folks, you got to be made aware, we were made aware, and I didn't really mention it, it was new business not for action or consideration at our economic development. There are some people that want to make proposals coming here to put up acres and acres of blacktop so that so many other communities around us, those trucks that are owned by other people's other companies don't have to be parked in their community. They can park them in Joliet. Very little tax there. You might have one guy at the entrance 24 hours a day, you know, letting them come in, but there will be thousands and thousands of trucks added to, you know, with no payback to the city. So we got to be careful moving forward when somebody brings up the word parking or truck parking, because we've talked about the parking problems with some of the, like the Kmart in the mall. These are people that want to take acres, 20 acres, and just make a blacktop and then rent those spaces to people so that those trucks don't have to be parked in other communities. They can be parked in Joliet, which means trucks coming, tens of thousands of trucks coming in and out of Joliet. So I just want to be careful with that. I'm perfectly fine with this one. I kind of assumed it would be this, but I just wanted to clarify, so thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 499-19, ordinances associated with Centerpoint Intermodal Center at Joliet subdivision?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman? Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Dodged another bullet, didn't you?
Council Memo 500-19, ordinances associated with Misty Pond subdivision. This includes an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a multifamily residential planned unit development in a B3 general business zoning district located at the northwest corner of Kellogg Street and Grape Street, and an ordinance approving the preliminary planned unit development of Misty Pond subdivision. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 501-19, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow continuation of a truck repair facility located at 259 Republic Avenue. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
I have to vote no. I don't see that it fits with the TIF district that's trying to be developed around the hospital. So my vote's no.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Council Memo 502-19, an ordinance approving an amendment to a special use permit to allow an additional 4 residential units within an existing 35-unit multifamily and commercial building located at 6676 North Chicago Street. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 503-19, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow continuation of 3 residential units on one lot, a 2-unit house and a single-family house in an R2 single-family residential zoning located at 525 Stryker Avenue. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
And motion is seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 504-19, ordinances and resolution repealing ordinances and resolution regarding annexation of approximately 101 acres located at the southeast corner of Spencer and Cherry Hill Roads. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 505-19, ordinance amending Section 4-23 of the Code of Ordinances, increasing fee for a Class A liquor license.
Krista, before we do, I have Attorney Chris Regis here to address the council. There were some questions last night. I also think everyone on the council should have gotten a list of all the Class A license holders in the city that was given me before the meeting.
I don't have one.
Yes. So I missed what you said, Krista, is the first thing up the fee increase?
The first is the fee increase, correct?
Okay, this was put forward because what we see time and time again is that the existing fee and license structure with the city of Joliet is not in line with the area, it's not in line with local communities. And let's be clear, most communities do not allow this type of license at all. The ones who do assess higher fees than Joliet does. As usual, Joliet is well below what the surrounding communities are. The reason that we put the $2,500 in the memo is quite simply that's what New Lenox does. One of our neighbors, out of our neighbors, only New Lenox, Plainfield, and Lockport allow these types of licenses. All 3 of them charge more than we do. We're looking to gradually phase these licenses out over time, so the higher fee would also act as an incentive for some existing Class A license holders to go ahead and give theirs up in order to not pay the increased fee.
Any questions?
Yeah, one.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, the Class A gives you the extra hour on the weekends,
No,
correct?
sir, no, sir.
It's just package?
Class A allows for packaged goods to be sold out of the same place where you can consume it. So essentially, you can go into the bar and buy a 6-pack or whatever you want to get. This has nothing to do with extra hours or times or anything like that.
Because I'm looking at some of the places on here, I know they don't sell package. Why would they have a package license?
That was before my time.
Okay.
I cannot answer that.
Okay.
Like I said, we would want those places, you're right, when you look at that list, probably close to half of them don't sell packaged
Right.
liquors.
Right.
And so a lot of them would probably give theirs up right off the bat if we went ahead and increased it. And like I said, the others we're looking to phase out over time. This, aside from the increased fee, this will not affect any existing business owners whatsoever. We're not going to take anybody's Class A license. All we're saying is that they will not be renewed. This does follow suit with, in my research, this follows suit with what Elgin and Rockford have already done. They have phased out this type of license. Most places do not even allow them to begin with.
So there's a liquor store on here, Chris, that I don't believe sells liquor to be consumed on the presence.
Yes, I know what you're talking about, yes.
And they just have this license because that was there when they bought the business, I take it? Or they have the option
Like I said, that
to?
license was granted before my time. That might have been a bar at one time, but I don't know. Yeah, there's no reason for them to have a Class A license.
But the liquor
at all.
store can then stay open to 3?
No.
So the liquor's, right, so they're paying for,
They're paying for something
Nothing.
they're not using, that's correct.
okay?
My question is not legal, more policy. You know, there's two ordinances up for vote and discussion tonight, and I have no problem with, we don't have to say phasing out. The second ordinance stops any new issuing. It stops transfer when you buy it. I'm not comfortable gouging the existing people that built their business model, whether they're gonna be in business another 5 years or 10 years. They've played by the rules for 20, 30, 40 years. I talked to a couple who said it will have an impact on them, and they may get the desired effect that I don't particularly back, and that's that they would give it up as a point of customer service to their customers. You know, you picked Elgin to compare them to, but we have to tell them that Elgin only charges $1,500. So they're phasing it out at $1,500. They're not gouging them up to $2,500. So I've got a big problem with that. I was gonna make a motion at the table, and I think not. I think maybe we'll just let it go to straight vote. I think that, I was gonna make a motion at the table, because I think we should consider whether it's 5, 6, or 10 of good business owners in Joliet that have chosen to be in the legal business of selling liquor. I mean, going from $1,200 to $2,500. I mean, imagine if your mortgage did doubled tomorrow.
If I can ask a question, what would you suggest that a reasonable increase would be?
$1,500. It's like Elgin. They're trying to do the same thing that we're trying to accomplish here. If I'm correct, Chris, they're gonna no longer, Elgin no longer is gonna issue new ones like we're not, and they're trying to phase out the ones that are established at $1,500. They're not, New Lenox may be charging $2,500. How many do they have?
I don't know.
Right. They don't have as many liquor establishments in general.
Just a
Different community than ours.
quick point of order, though, on that, sir, is that Elgin initiated their phase-out in 1989. So that was the 1989 rate, because they haven't issued any new ones since then.
I don't know why, but I would assume because they're waiting for good business people to close up. No new business people can have it. They're waiting for these good business people to close up, and I think we should do the same, instead of trying to rush them to the door. That's just my opinion, folks.
One more question. Chris, was there a, like a public hearing where these people were invited in to get the? There was not, okay.
Is there a motion for Council Memo 505-19, which is an ordinance amending Section 4-23 of the Code of Ordinances, increasing the fee for a Class A liquor license?
Never mind.
Is there a motion to approve or deny?
There was discussion down here about possibly having a hearing for these folks to come in and take a look at this and everybody involved. But the councilman doesn't want to bring it forth.
Well, since we're not getting a motion,
It would fail then.
It would fail.
okay.
With no motion, Council Memo 505-19 fails. Council Memo 506-19, ordinance amending Section 4-15, ceasing the issuance of new Class A liquor licenses and changing class upon transfer. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
And motion is seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
No.
Councilman Turk?
No.
Councilman Dickinson?
No.
Councilwoman Gavin?
No.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
No.
Councilman Mudrin?
No.
Motion failed. Vote was 2 ayes, 6 noes. Moving on to Council Memo 507-19. This was previously removed from the agenda. So under resolutions, Council Memo 509-19. Resolution approving a property tax abatement with Harbor Freight Tools, Texas, Centerpoint Intermodal Center. It's recommended this item be tabled to the October 1st, 2019 council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded to table Council Memo 509-19 to the October 1st, 2019 council meeting. Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 509-19 was tabled to October 1st. Council Memo 510-19, a resolution authorizing a home subrecipient agreement between Will County, Illinois and the City of Joliet, Illinois. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 512-19 was previously removed from the agenda. Council Memo 513-19, a resolution approving an amendment to development agreement with Mid-Central Enterprises. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Resolution, I apologize, said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is Council Memo 516-19, which is a resolution authorizing to award a professional services agreement for a historic resource survey of St. John's neighborhood. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin,
Hold on, Crystal.
One quick. I thought 516 was removed. No?
You said before the meeting 516 was going to be removed.
Yeah.
516 is actually moved up under resolutions to be voted on separately. It was a Scrivener's error, so
Oh,
it should be a
sorry. Okay.
resolution.
Okay. Gotcha.
Was motioned and
Gotcha.
seconded, right? I know it was motion to approve 516. We will go back to 515 afterwards. This was moved under resolution due to the Scrivener's error. So we had a motion to approve 516-19, which is a resolution to award a professional services agreement for historic resource survey of St. John's neighborhood. Is there a second?
Mayor, question first, because yesterday it was considered part of the contracts, we didn't go into it individually, so I'm curious why we're paying for historic study. Can we get some background on this?
Steve, Cable?
Yes, so as part of the block grant allocation, neighborhood plans, including historic resource plans, can be paid for through the block grant process. This is a neighborhood that we feel needs to be studied in terms of its resources. It's one of the first entry points for a great many immigrant groups, European immigrant groups, and we feel that this is the first of many neighborhood-based historic resource plans that we want to move forward. The funding is there through the block grant process, so.
Okay. Thank you, Kendall. That's all I wanted to know.
Sorry for the confusion. It was motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 516-19, a resolution authorizing the award of a professional services agreement for a historic resource survey of St. John's neighborhood. Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 515-19, award of contract for professional consulting services for preparation of a citywide comprehensive plan. Council Memo 517-19, award of contract for the citywide newsletter for 2020-2021. And Council Memo 518-19, award of contract for the 2019 Lumex Streetlight Globe purchase order. It's recommended Council Memos 515-19, 517-19, and 518-19 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. There are no amendments, change orders, or payments. So next is the city manager's report.
Thank you. I have two items tonight. It's too bad John Grueling is no longer here. He spent a lot of time talking about transportation in his update regarding the CED plan. the city was fortunate enough to get 45 minutes of time from the Illinois Transportation Secretary today to talk about the needs of Joliet and how some of the capital fund investments and current administration's efforts to put Joliet back on the map or on the radar screen are really going to pay off. The mayor dialed it on a conference line. I was there with Greg Ruddy, and we talked about I-80, we talked about the bridge, we talked about the interchange at I-55 and Route 59. And all I can say is that Secretary of Transportation knows that Joliet's here. So there will be an announcement as to the 5-year, multi-year plan, probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And our fingers are crossed that there's a significant project from Joliet on that list. Second item.
Steve, was there any discussion about Briggs or Chicago Street bridges?
About what, I'm sorry?
Briggs Street and Chicago Street bridges being improved.
That's part of that Phase 1 study that's ongoing with IDOT. So there was no specific discussion we had about that. That's something
But it's something being looked at through a
Yes.
Phase 1 study. Thank you.
Yeah, IDOT is doing the study, and obviously it's a big picture, but widening of I-80 as well as that bridge are somewhere in the future. Question is when.
Yes.
Second item is a little more complex. I'm going to tell you a story, I guess, before I get into the commentary. About 2 or 3 months ago, I received an inquiry from the village administrator in Elwood seeking the city to consider the potential time extension of the boundary agreement that exists with Elwood. Some of you may know that on December 31st of this year, that boundary agreement expires. And we have boundary agreements with other communities as well, but this is the one that is, it's going to expire now. I told the village administrator that the city really wasn't interested in looking at that because, in effect, we're about to do a comprehensive land use plan. And part of what a comp plan does, not only looking internally as to what future land use and redevelopment uses are within your existing boundaries, it also looks at what are your ultimate boundaries, what can you serve, what makes sense for the community, where the economic development opportunities, et cetera. So I said, we're not interested in that. We'll certainly honor the agreement as it gets close to expiration, and then this plan will eventually tell us where the city should go. They requested a meeting, and the mayor, city attorneys, and administrators of each towns met. It was about a month and a half ago, Mayor, and we gave them the opportunity, tell us what's the compelling reason. Why would this be good for Joliet? And we had a fairly productive meeting. We heard what their side of the story was and what their request was. But in effect, there was no real compelling reason in my mind as to why the city would consider this. It would take away our flexibility if the comp plan should come back in 18 months or so and say the city should consider something to the south. So at that point in time, I pretty much expressed that opinion after discussions with legal counsel and with the mayor, and we informed the village of Elwood. Within the last few days, I did receive a letter from Elwood asking that this matter be put on the city council agenda. So it's my recommendation that literally we have a comprehensive plan to go through, and we shouldn't give up our flexibility. But certainly since that request was made, it's something that the city council could say, not interested, or get it on the next agenda. So I throw that out there. It's just sort of a discussion item. It's not something that you could vote on. But if there's any interest in this coming forward, certainly you can discuss that amongst yourself and give us direction.
Tonight or privately?
You could discuss it.
Well,
discuss it now.
I agree with you. If we're going to spend a lot of money and time on a comprehensive plan, it would be silly to start walling the city in before we even do that. So, doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with you.
I would agree with the mayor. That's putting the cart before the horse, then we're painting ourselves in the corner.
Right.
Okay. I will communicate. I'm sure the media may get to the village of Elwood before I do, but in effect, I'll convey that was the message delivered. And it's ironic that tonight is the night we actually adopted the plan, but obviously this has been under consideration in terms of us executing a comp plan consultant for a while. So I will convey that, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
New business, not for final action or recommendation.
I have nothing, sir.
Yeah, just a heads up. You know, we're all used to the Asian carp crisis, as they called it, which it can be. Of course, we battled our way through to the tune of millions of dollars. The Asian, what was the, now I'm drawing a blank. The ash trees. What was the name of that?
Ash borer.
Emerald ash borer from Asia. Now, we all got to start, this is serious, I know it's going to sound silly, start getting used to the Amenthus metaphyre jumping worm. It's imported from, yeah, I read an article about it several weeks ago, I've been researching it. It's imported from Southeast Asia, just like the emerald ash borer, just like the Asian carp in shipping. That's something that I think the federal government's got to get its hands on. It destroys the top layer of soil. Makes it uninhabitable for trees. So it's in Wisconsin and Illinois now. They call it a jumping worm. They also call it the snake worm. It's up to 7 inches long, as small as 4 inches. You put it in your hand, and it will jump several inches out of your hand. I mean, it's called a jumping worm. So I think we need to have our arborists start tracking that.
Is there anything that we can prevent it?
Don't know. It's so new. We don't know. But it is a serious threat. They gave examples. There were people in Wisconsin that put out their mulch. They'll eat the topsoil mulch, right? They had to put mulch out 3 times in one season. 5 weeks, the worms ate all the mulch. That's how voracious they are. So we need to start tracking that. So when we first came on the council, Mayor, you remember Terry? Remember when I said, do we have a plan for the crisis for the ash borer? And everybody looked at me like I was, let's get ahead of this one. Because prior to 2011, we didn't have the plan for the ash borer, and we played catch up. Let's get ahead of this one. It's a serious threat.
Okay.
Just for a quick question, can it be transferred? Like if people are
Potting soil,
in another state,
plants,
can bring
yes.
it and they can bring it here?
Yep.
So you think the agriculture people would start checking at the border like they do, you can't bring stuff back from Hawaii or another country? But apparently the state's not, they don't think it's in.
We might be tip of the spear on this, right?
Wow.
Not much we can do except prepare to
Sounds
react.
weird, I know people are gonna make fun of it, but I mean,
It's serious.
They made fun of the borash and look at all the trees that are gone.
It's not going to be funny to gardeners, whether they're flower gardeners or vegetable gardeners. I'm going to tell you, it won't be funny to them.
No.
No, sir.
No.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening? Seeing none, mayor and council comments.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank city staff for approaching the people who own Kmart, the building over there. I brought it up last week about the trucks parking there, and since Sunday, since Friday actually, I haven't seen any trucks parking in that lot. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have nothing, sir.
I just want to thank you, Mayor, for the Constitution Week proclamation, and remind people that we really need to honor or follow our Constitution regardless of our political persuasion or our ideology, not for 1 week a year, but year-round. Many men and women have fought and died for that Constitution. It's what created what we still call this experiment in democracy, first time ever in the history of the world that we did this, and we've gotten fairly good at it. So, the Constitution is not something we celebrated once a year. I'd like to see nationally, with all this nonsense that's going on nationally, that people got to get back to actually the backbone of this country, which is our Constitution. So happy Constitution Week.
I'd like to encourage everyone to take advantage of local high school sports. Everybody's looking for a venue that is not very expensive. We have some outstanding schools in the area. Some events are free, others cost a few bucks, but we're into the school sports season now, about a month, and football, volleyball, soccer, tennis, golf, pick your choice. We got some youth here that's trying very, very hard and would like your support. So.
Okay, I have several things. First, can we have an update on the Cassidy home? Where are we with that?
The demolition permit is still in legal, and there's a meeting scheduled for later this week.
Okay, thank you. So on a lighter note, this weekend, the 22nd, is Family Fun Fest at DuPage Medical Center. It's Sunday, and it is a fun festival for children, and it's free, and it's from 12 to 4 at, again, DuPage Medical Center Stadium, formerly known as Route 66 Stadium. Also, our very own Saul Garcia, who does all the Channel 6 stuff. I know you're back there, Saul, but he was an everyday hero in the Herald News. There's a nice article in the paper about him, and so I'd like to see that he gets that.
Thank you.
Okay, and he does a lot of volunteer work besides a full-time job. He takes care of JCTV and makes us all look gorgeous on TV. And handsome, guys. Also, last but not least, I had the honor of attending the Homes for Hero today on a West Side Joliet home that was built by Homes for Heroes. The person that received this new home is Nicholas Wallace, a Marine sergeant who was injured in Iraq. And it was a beautiful day. The fire department was there. Other folks were there to visit his home. It's a free home for him and his daughter. And he has a lot of things going on with him, but I was very proud to be there. And if anybody wants to watch ABC News, it'll be on this evening. It was on earlier today. And I'm very proud to have attended that event. And that's all I have. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just two things. Number one, Saturday was the Mexican Independence Day Parade on Collins Street, and then Saturday evening was the Fiesta on Lake Holly downtown. We had about 8,000 people at the event downtown. It was another great night. Absolutely no problems at all, so congratulations to the Chamber and everyone who was involved in putting that on. Once again, a great night in downtown Joliet and a great event. And then finally, today I was, again, fortunate, I did this last year, to be invited to Cunningham School to speak to the second and third graders and get grilled by them. A lot of tough questions. But thank you, Cunningham, and the teachers and staff there. It was a very good time. So that's all I have today.
I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
Second.
And motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried.